Okay, welcome in everyone to Football Friday, presented by Football Addicts Anonymous. I am finally arrived in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with my Marquette gear on. Moving in tomorrow morning, so
You may or may not be the first person that's ever called Milwaukee beautiful. I'm just kidding.
It's prettier than Chicago, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of stuff going on. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm good. I'm prepared. I'm getting closer and closer to the actual regular season, just like the shirt says. Football season is mayhem, baby.
Yeah, I gotta find a TV for my apartment for my living room. So I don't know what I'm doing with that, but like I said, a lot of stuff going on. We had the first two games of preseason week 1 happen last night. Battle of Pennsylvania happened, and also Washington the football team took on the Patriots. We also have a little bit of NCAA news, just discussing this list of top 100 coaches of the last 50 years. Had a trade involving the Steelers, and then a bunch of NFL news. And we'll finish it up with our ACC and American Athletic Conference previews, and just a tad bit about each game the rest of the way this weekend for preseason week 1. So let's get into the game recaps here. Last night, Steelers come back against the Eagles, down 16-7 at one point. Dwayne Haskins leads all 4 scoring drives. 2 touchdowns by Jalen Samuels on the ground, 1 by him to Anthony Johnson, and then also Sam Sloman added a field goal. I wasn't watching it. I was on the road. I was listening to it. But from what I heard, it was tale of 2 halves. The first 2 units for the Eagles looked great. Jalen Hurts. Now, the stats lie for Jalen Hurts, as far as I know. 3 of 7, 54 yards, but there were at least 2 drops in there. One by Jalen Reagor, one by Zach Ertz, I believe.
That's a reoccurring Philadelphia thing. I think they got too much cheesesteaks on their hands.
Yeah, but apparently, other than that, he looked very good. Command of the offense was there. Got them down. I believe he led just 1 scoring drive. I think they got a field goal on the first one, and then the second one he had to punt. Joe Flacco also looked good, apparently, for the Eagles' second team. He played the majority of the game, and I was surprised. I mean, I was not a big fan of the Flacco signing initially, but he looked all right, apparently.
I mean, you said it. From what I know, I was watching the Patriots Washington football team, game more, but tell of 2 halves. I think if you look at both quarterback play, I know you're going to talk about it, but Dwayne Haskins looked great. We both mentioned, a system fitting someone, having a coach that believes in you. Even Mason Rudolph's numbers are pretty eye-popping. At least the accuracy and the rating was good as well. But staying with the Eagles, I think Carson Wentz went down in Philadelphia, and Hurts and Flacco right now don't look like they're chumps by any means.
Yeah, Merrill Reese and Ike, I forget his last name, but those were the guys. That was the Eagles broadcast. They're always on there, so I was listening to them, and I wholeheartedly agree. Granted, like I said, I wasn't able to see it, but what it sounded that it rang true, that the Eagles looked like a well-coached team. So happy to hear that, even though they lost. But the reason they lost was because of their third string quarterback, Nick Mullins, who I was more high on than Flacco when they signed, because I thought Nick Mullins did pretty well in San Francisco, just absolutely terrible. 1 for 5 through 2 picks that led to a touchdown and a field goal that eventually won the game for the Steelers.
That's the difference. That's the comeback killers.
One last thing before I flip over to Pittsburgh. Quez Watkins apparently is getting a lot of fanfare now. I mean, he only had 2 targets, but one of them was a reception for 79 yards on a screen from Flacco that he took to the house. So Pittsburgh-wise, like you alluded to, Dwayne Haskins has been tearing it up. Both preseason games so far has looked great. And my mind, and I think a lot of other people's minds, he has it. He has the backup job. He right now is supplanting Mason Rudolph as Big Ben's successor next year.
I don't disagree with that, the way that he's looked. And I already know how you feel, and you can see the numbers. I also think when you look at the running game numbers, that's a positive for Pittsburgh. I mean, look at the averages that their backs had. When you have that type of production, that's automatically going to make quarterback play better. That's not the reason that he looks good. I just think he looks good. He looked comfortable in the pocket. His throws were on target, smooth, nice spirals. And so if you can keep this run game production up, I see that, that sustainability that Pittsburgh has had across the years is, I think, there when Big Ben decides to retire.
Yeah, Najee Harris not as involved this game, only getting 2 carries and a reception as opposed to 7 in the first game. I was mad that Jalen Samuels ended up averaging 4.5 yards per carry because he was so terrible in the Hall of Fame game. And his first couple runs, it sounded like he wasn't getting much room at either. And I was like, bro, Jalen Samuels sucks. Please cut him. Please. We have other guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So I was like, dude, please cut Jalen Samuels. But he goes back in game 2, averages 4.5 yards per carry. So, and scores a touchdown. Anyways, not much going on defense. The same guys that flashed for Pittsburgh last week didn't flash this week. But they had some other guys. Loudermilk got in for a half a sack. Jameer Jones, actually, he was a guy that kind of looked good last week. Looking good once again this week, trying to secure a depth outside linebacker spot. And Jake Elliott, 3 of 3 field goals. Good to see him on target early in the year. Steelers covered +1, over 37 hit. Patriots taking down Washington football team 22-13. Now, this one you can talk about more, Mark, because you actually watched the game. So.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to another young quarterback, right? Haskins isn't as young, obviously, as Mac Jones, but a good word I would say is efficient, right? First NFL game, even though it's maybe not the regular season and everybody's on defense, it's not the number one defender on the depth chart, but he looked comfortable. He commanded – what I liked is he commanded the line of scrimmage. He didn't look like a rookie out there. He was able to read the defense, talk to his receivers and backs. And then like I was talking to you when you were traveling, it was the Bill Belichick type of offense. We're going to hand it off, and then we're going to set up a play action. But that's what I liked about Mac Jones is it was a smooth – it really looked like a really crisp ball fake, bringing it back, cocking the hips, bringing your shoulders up, and looking down the field. And one play that I really liked is he checked both sides of the field. Everybody was covered, and he checked down right into the middle of the field for a first down to the running back in the flat, a little curl route. And it just looked like a mature quarterback back there, in my opinion. And you're going to have that in Alabama when you're sitting on the bench and you're learning from Nick Saban, but he looked smooth. It's only one game, so well, I guess, don't get ahead of ourselves, but he looked good. And even Cam Newton looked his passing motion looked more fluid than I've seen in a long time. That doesn't mean that, he's going to be on target. He's never been a great accuracy quarterback, but his arm didn't look like, his shoulder didn't look like it was giving him issues. He was on the sideline back to, joking with other people. And just like Mac Jones, there was an article after the game that said, I went to Cam right then and there before my first start in the NFL and asked him some questions, and he was all about it. He wasn't like, oh, I'm too good for you. So I think the Patriots can surprise some people. I'm not going to say that they're contenders, but, if they're 500, they can knock a couple people out of wild card contention, or maybe they sneak in on a wild card spot.
I'm still not.
Get 9 people back from just COVID alone. The quarterback position is the one, right? The one thing that's going to make them or break them.
Exactly.
And from what I saw is they look like they could be a wild card type of team with maybe even if they use both throughout the season.
Well, let's hope not for my future's bet's sakes. Having the Patriots finish 4th in the AFC East. But anyways, we also had Ryan Fitzpatrick making his debut with the Washington football team.
I love Ryan.
How did he look? Numbers look pretty solid.
He looked like his usual fun, smart self, knowing that it wasn't the regular season, going out there loose, I think it was the right amount of reps for him.
I'm surprised he didn't run the ball.
He didn't. I think Taylor, Heineke, looked, in my opinion, didn't look bad, but I thought he was pressing a little bit like, okay, I had that one playoff game, and now I have to be like what I would call a home run play. It has nothing to do with baseball, just, a grand play every time I touch the ball instead of just taking what the defense gives you.
Yeah. I think the most shocking thing about this game was Ramondre Stevenson, probably fourth rounder out of Oklahoma, going to a crowded Patriots backfield like it always is every year. But he comes out 10 carries, 127. Now 91 of those was on a touchdown run. So he really had 9 carries for 36 yards, which is still not bad.
Isn't that not a Bill Belichick team, though? You have to stop the run, and I'm going to set up my quarterback with play action plays. And everybody's got to, regardless if you're a 4th or 5th round, he was at Oklahoma. There is talent on that roster. And he said, if you give me some space, I'm going to find it.
Yeah, and it was 15-13 with about a minute remaining when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So defensively, Jawan Williams, 2 pass deflections and a pick there. Pick coming off Steven Montez.
Bauer looked pretty good on the edge as well.
Yeah, Harvey Lange, 10 tackles, 8 solo in a preseason game. That's pretty solid. And I was talking to you a little bit pre-show, just right before we went live. The leading receiver in the game. Now, Washington threw 47 times to 20 different receivers, 17 of which caught a ball. And they didn't have the leading receiver. It was Christian Wilkerson with the Patriots. Now, I had never heard of him.
And, he's had some issues in the past, if you look up his past, with dropping the ball. And even though he had 6 receptions for 39 yards, he had a big – Mac Jones would have had another first down on a second down, I think, and it made it 3rd and long. And I mean, he was wide open. Mac Jones put it on the money, and he just dropped it. And so I guess what I'm saying is, even though he's a leading receiver for New England, he's got to get better hands, especially when he's wide open. It's almost like he's got to be covered or someone near him to catch the ball.
Yeah, I guess you would know him. Guy out of Southeast Missouri State.
Yep, Cape Girardeau.
SEMO.
SEMO, baby.
And also want to shout out Bunmi Rotimi. If anyone remembers from our XFL coverage last year, he was one of our defensive player of the weeks one time, having a couple sacks in a game. I believe he played for the Roughnecks, Houston Roughnecks.
Yep.
So good.
Don't forget, that might be coming back in 2022.
It will be. The Rock leading the charge.
Yeah,
and
buddy.
also David Bada. I saw something on him. He is in the international player system. So good first showing from him. I believe he's from Australia. I think. I could be.
I think you are right, just because I saw something about him being like, besides a kicker, he's like the first position player from Australia. I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Well, you have Jordan Mailata with the Eagles. I know that. The Eagles have a couple other Australians too. Aaron Sipos, their punter, new punter this year. And Quinn Nordine, kicker for the Patriots.
What I was saying, I think they did an article on him. He's like the first one that's not punter or kicker.
Yeah.
Well, but in reporting, I don't want to give you false information, so we might have to verify.
Right. Yeah. The Patriots covered -2 and under 37. Hit. Okay. So NCAA news real quick. So the top 100 college football coaches of the last 50 years. Now, I started writing a notables list of guys that I knew, the guys that I've heard of, and it ended up being a pretty long list, and it's probably at least 30 of the 100. But not all of them have write-ups, so, most of them I'll just say what, their years and what schools they were with. So the first one, number 100, Bronco Mendenhall, BYU, 05 to 15, and Virginia, 16 to present. 99, James Franklin, my boy. Vanderbilt, 11 to 13, and Penn State, 14 to present.
So is the list the top 100 NCAA coaches? What?
Of the last 50 years.
Do they have to be in the NFL now, or just the top 50 coaches?
Yeah.
Or top 100 coaches?
Just technically it's 101, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it's just based off there. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff before you get to the list, but 98, Rich Rod, Salem in 88. I didn't even know Salem was a school. Glenville State, 90 to 96. West Virginia, 01 to 07. Michigan, 08 to 2010. And Arizona, 12 to 17. 93, our boy, Mark, our boy. It is one Kirby Smart. Georgia, 2016 to present.
He's pretty good. He's got it rolling. He's got to get a ship underneath his belt.
I think the only reason he's so low is because lack of time.
Oh, by far.
So, right after him, 92, David Shaw, 2011 to present at Stanford. After him, Dan Mullen, Mississippi State, 09 to 17, and Florida, 18 to present. Next guy, 83rd, Kyle Whittingham, Utah, 05 to present, Urban Meyer's successor.
Okay.
I didn't. He's been at Utah quite a while. I didn't know that.
I mean, when you think, yeah, I mean, Utah was put on the map by Urban Meyer, so yeah, that's a great. I didn't realize he's been there since then, right?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. And they did that transition. What makes him special or makes him really good, in my opinion, is Urban never was part of the pack, and he's part of the pack and knocking on that door every year.
Yeah. Next guy I had written down 78th, Frank Solich, Nebraska 98 to 03, and Ohio 05 to 20, legendary at Ohio University with the Bobcats.
Well, I mean, there's another Nebraska coach that I think is amazing too.
Yeah. Just retired 2020. So to watch his son play. Right after him, Bobby Petrino, your boy.
He's currently at Missouri State, my undergrad alma mater.
Louisville 03 to 06, Arkansas 08 to 2011, Western Kentucky in 13, Louisville again 14 to 18, and now Missouri State 2020 to present.
If he didn't have some off the field issues, I think I think he would still be at a Power 5 school.
75th, Butch Davis, Miami 95 to 2000, UNC 07 to 10, and now was FIU 2017 to 2020.
He had UNC going pretty well. There's some things though that got him to lose his job. So
71st, Kirk Ferentz, Maine 90 to 92. And then, of course, Iowa 99 to present.
Yeah, and let's see if he can keep that post.
Some people believe in Iowa this year.
I mean, Iowa's been good, but they had that whole, they had to get rid of the strength coach, and he kept his job. And when that happens, it better be straightforward. You don't have anyone else come out and say bad things.
I am just until they have they do have an okay quarterback, but right after him, 70th, Jeff Tedford, Cal 02 to 12, and Fresno State 17 to 19.
He had what I'll say about him is he had a lot of notable people that he put in the NFL. If you don't know anything about Cal's alumni, look it up.
A-Rod, Marshawn Lynch. Those are the only two I know in that time frame, 02 to 12.
When was Deshaun Jackson there?
Yeah, that would have been because I believe Deshaun got drafted in 08.
I mean, those are three pretty good professional players.
Next, 65th, Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State 05 to present.
I can't even say anything because I don't have a mullet. Next guy.
62nd, Craig Bowl, North Dakota State 03 to 13, Wyoming 14 to present. Josh Allen's finder.
I mean, I think that's worthy in that position. Wyoming is a good program.
Yeah, always competitive. Let's go next. Now, this one is one of the few that I know based off name and what he had done. Hayden Fry, SMU 62 to 72, North Texas 73 to 78, and then the legend Iowa 79 to 98. The guy before Kirk Ferentz.
Yep. He was there. He started they built that hospital. He started the wave down into the stadium. Always had good running backs, and just integral part of college football, really. That's a big time frame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 19 of 20 seasons. I always get confused on the addition and subtraction of the end year and. Next up is 58th, Chip Kelly, Oregon, 09 to 12, and then UCLA, 2018 to present. I think it's really for his Oregon days.
Great Oregon coach, but just changing the offensive landscape is what he's always going to be remembered for.
Yeah. Skip up 10-48th. Mark D'Antonio, Cincinnati 04 to 06, Michigan State 07 to 19. 3 conference titles, 2010, 2013, 2015, all in the Big Ten with Michigan State.
Yeah, he did a good job at Michigan State and stepped down. That whole everybody besides Tom Izzo was kind of in turmoil up there.
Yeah, 132 and 74 in his career at both schools.
Good record against Michigan, I think, too.
Led Michigan State to a 2013 Rose Bowl and a 2015 college football playoff bid. Also, 3 straight top 10 finishes.
That's good, man, for a basketball school. In the middle of Ohio State and Michigan country, too.
Next up is the next guy, Les Miles at 47th. Oklahoma State 01 to 04, LSU 05 to 16, and Kansas 19 to 20, 145 and 73. 2007 national title with LSU, and 2-time SEC conference champ 07 and 2011.
Look, he was fired because of the Saban effect, 100% at LSU. But the dude won games after games after games and was always knocking on the door. I don't have much to say about why he left Kansas. There's some stuff in the past that came up. But I'm just going to tell you, LSU is like that. They just won one with their ball coach. I mean, they have players. They have the money to win down there, but they always have issues. Is that a good word to use?
And he was also the precursor to Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State.
Yep. I mean, I've never met the dude, don't know, personally, so I can't attest to what is going on with those issues. But I will say he's different. He's like Mike Leach. They both are very just different individuals, but it seems to work for both of them.
Oh, we'll get to Mike Leach. Next is 46th, Lance Leopold, Wisconsin Whitewater, 07 to 14, Buffalo, 15 to 20, and now the current Kansas head coach just hired this season.
He's won at every level. Each one of those schools were very good.
Yeah, 146 and 39 career record. 5-time Division III national champ, 07, 09, or no, 6-time, 07, 09, 2010, 2011, 2013, and 2014. Also won conference titles with Wisconsin Whitewater 07 to 2011 and 13 to 14. I knew him from Buffalo. That's where I
actually knew him from Wisconsin.
Next, 44th, our other Georgia boy, Vince Dooley. Dooley Field. Georgia, 64 to 88, 201, 77, and 10. Of course, the 1980 national championship. SEC titles in 66, 68, 76, and 80 through 82.
Look, 2 words. National championship, Herschel Walker. Do I need to say anything else? And he did it in a time where he was going up against Spurrier consistently. No offense to Kirby and everything. He's winning ball games. Recruiting's different. But who has he had to really coach against in the East until they lost to Dan Mullen last season?
Yeah. Says he was the Georgia head coach for 24 seasons. Also the athletic director for 25.
Had some great hires.
And 40, his record in Herschel Walker's 3 seasons, 43, 4, and 1.
They probably would have won a national championship his senior year if he would have stayed.
Next up is 41st. This is where we have the Pirate, Mike Leach. Texas Tech 2000 to 09, Washington State 2012 to 19, and Mississippi State 2020 to present. 143 and 97.
Way too high. Way too high, in my opinion.
I think it's because of what he brought, the schematics and his.
I mean, it's an air raid offense, and you see it really a lot at the high school level now, and I mean in other areas, but you got to win some postseason games to be higher on this list.
Yeah, I think really one of the few head coaches, because the top 50 were where they started doing blurbs for each guy. I think he might be one of the few that don't have any national or conference titles. So moving up to 36th, Brian Kelly, Grand Valley State 91 to 03, Central Michigan 04 to 06, Cincinnati 07 to 09, and of course Notre Dame 2010 to present. 273, 96, and 2. Two-time D2 national champ in 02 and 03. Won the Midwest Intercollegiate Conference titles in 92, 97, and 98. Won the GLIAC conference titles in 01 and 02. The MAC title with Central Michigan in 06. And a two-time Big East champion with Cincinnati in 08 and 09. I have no idea what the GLAC is.
He's done well in everywhere he's won. I mean, look at it. And he's always in college football playoff contention, right? He hasn't won it. I mean, I think that's what Notre Dame wants, right? Like, everybody wants that championship.
Yeah, I think that's.
And if you were to fire him, like, who are you going to replace him with, in my opinion?
Kirby Smart.
Kirby ain't leaving Georgia.
I think that's what has become the issue with Brian Kelly. Yeah, Notre Dame's back in the playoff. And then they just get blasted by Alabama every year.
But in the big scheme of things, like, everybody wanted to play at Notre Dame back in the day. Everybody wants to play at Alabama.
I think in order to stay competitive, they're going to have to be into a conference soon. And I think that's the issue. They set up their own schedule. Now they play hard people, but it's not like Alabama, Georgia, Florida, where you're playing 8 SEC conference games.
And the stadium doesn't matter, because if I'll say this, and people may not agree with me, Sanford Stadium seats a ton of people, but the only thing special about our stadium is it holds a lot of people, and there's some hedges down on the field. It's not like beautiful. It's nothing like that. You know, it's just a big stadium in the middle of campus, and their stadium is older. But what they have to do is they've got to keep up with Clemson, like Clemson's and Alabama's and Georgia's facilities when it is not under center in a live game. And I don't think they've done that, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like, we just broke ground on a second facility that is, you know, it's not as nice as Clemson, but it's pretty darn nice.
Yep. Moving up here, former Georgia boy, Mark Richt. Georgia 01 to 15, Miami 16 to 18, 171 and 64 career record, two-time SEC champ 02 and 05.
Did everything but won a championship, and he did it 100% the right way. And if you one of the coolest people I've ever met.
7 top 10 finishes, came within a game or a single bounce of title shots in 02, 07, and 2012. Don't recall any of those. I wasn't into college football as much back then.
Couple Hail Marys, couple field goals.
Next guy, right in a row. That's been the trend. Really, when I was looking at the list, there's been just like 3 or 4 guys right in a row that I knew. Jimbo Fisher, Florida State 2010 to 17, Texas A&M 18 to present, 109 and 33, 2013 national champ with Florida State, Jameis Winston, and 3-time ACC champ 2012, 13, and 14.
Yeah, I mean he's won. He's got a lot of money in his pocket, and he needs a win at A&M.
I didn't know he succeeded Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, who better be about top 2, top 1, top 3 in that list. But
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I don't really, I don't know what I respect Jimbo, and he's won games. I just don't know what to think because it's like he's had Manziel, he's had pieces at A&M. I know they're playing a tough conference, and should Jameis Winston been eligible that season? I don't know. That wasn't even about the whole female thing. It's the other 2 things he did in the middle of the season that are like crazy. It's just crazy. It was
last year.
That was a wild year that year. And
I think last year was it. Last year, they had to have it. Kellen Mond was still there.
Yeah.
They had all the weapons. They had the defense. Couldn't get it done. So next guy, 32nd, Barry Alvarez, Mr. Wisconsin himself. Wisconsin 90 to 05, 120, 73, and 4 career record. 3-time Big Ten champ, 93, 98, and 99. Also was the AD after he coached.
Well, that's what I would even say. I would say this. His lasting effect on college football was they ran the football. People like Ron Dane, Monty Ball. There was one other one I forget recently. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name.
I mean, you got Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor.
Thank you. Those 2. I don't know why I went blank. But even at what he did afterwards, he stepped into the AD role, and he really drove the boat. And I was talking to somebody during the pandemic. He really drove the boat with the college football committee. He really did. He knew that the SEC, he knew the teams down in the SEC. He knew he was in the Big Ten, but he'd been there forever, stepped into an AD role, got assigned to the college football playoff committee, did a lot with the BCS too. And he drove, different things. He was the voice of, guys, the Big Ten needs to go and get back, and you need to bring the Pac-12 with you. And so he's got a thumbprint, I guess, on the NCAA that's even broader than his football scope.
Yeah, for sure. Next one is another older guy. 29th, Bo Schembechler, Miami, Ohio, 63 to 68, Michigan, 69 to 89, 234, 65, and 8, and a boatload of conference titles with Miami, Ohio, 66 to 60, 65 to 66, won the MAC title, and then Big Ten titles, 69, 71, 72, 73, 74, 76, 77, 78, 80, 82, 86, 87, and 88. So that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-time Big Ten champ.
Any national championship.
Nope.
That's just a tough one, but it's also back in an era where people claim national championships, and he might have been finished 1, 2, and someone, Associated Press, maybe gave it to somebody else. We all know who he was the coach of, the Harbaughs. Harbaugh himself, Harbaugh's dad was an assistant coach, and the rivalry with Buddy Hayes at Ohio State
Yeah.
And what I love about like him, not to last long on this, is their assistant staffs, they didn't jump around. Does that make sense? Like you see people jump from here to here to go be a coordinator, to be a quarterback's coach, to move up. Like Ohio State, Michigan, they were rivalries. They kept their assistant coaches, for the most part, intact over the years, which made it more family oriented. And you probably couldn't get away with things that they were doing back then. They were just hard-nosed football coaches.
Yeah, part of the 10-year war against Ohio State and Woody Hayes. 16 top 10 finishes, 10 Rose Bowl trips, finished with either 1 or 0 losses 6 times.
So, I mean, there's a like if you go undefeated, nowadays they would claim a national championship, right? So the dude probably could have 4 championships at least, if not 6.
Yeah.
I mean, UCF claimed 1. He could claim all. Someone in Michigan historian history needs to go back and write something and say, this guy won 6 national championships, folks.
Next guy is right after him, 28th, Gary Patterson, TCU 01 to present, 178 and 74. Conference USA champ in 02, Mountain West in 05, 09, 2010, and 11, and the Big 12 in 2014.
See, this is where you said we don't want to spend hours on this list, but why does somebody go ahead of them that doesn't have an undefeated season? And I know that the times are changing and recruiting and offense, but who has been TCU's nemesis? We know that Bo had a nemesis in Ohio State. How do you put this guy? And I love Gary Patterson. I think he's a great coach. I think he's done amazing with TCU. But how do you put him ahead of Bo? I don't understand.
Yeah, 8 top 20 finishes in 20 seasons. Got TCU into the Big 12 after a 36-3 run.
That is huge when you're talking about moving a university into the Big 12 and being competitive. I give them props for that,
and he also won a Rose Bowl.
I just feel like I'm not so sure he wouldn't disagree. Like, I think that's a part of being a good coach or even a good player, right? Like LeBron appreciates the history that was the prior NBA to make him what he is today. And I think Coach Patterson would agree as well. Like, he's got to go over a few more hurdles to be in front of Bo.
Yeah, and also 3 top 10 finishes for TCU. Next is Frank Beamer, Murray State, 81-86, and Virginia Tech, 87 to 2015, 280, 143, and 4. 86 Ohio Valley Conference champ, ACC champ in 95, 96, 99, 04, 07, 08, and 2010.
Look, no one would ever know about Virginia Tech football if it was not for this guy. Michael Vick, we already know that story. We already know they played for a national championship in the BCS. And I know you're probably
99.
Too young. I know you're too young to remember this, but the BCS was like the thing back in the day. I remember the first game. I remember Phil Fulmer at Tennessee winning the inaugural BCS championship. And you had, Virginia Tech come in and play Florida State. And it wasn't like Virginia Tech was a powerhouse before this. And he's got a bloodline in football, and now his son is the head coach at South Carolina. So I got a high regards for Frank Beamer.
Oh, I remember the BCS. Kellen Moore. That's all I got to say. Even though that was Fiesta Bowl, not the BCS championship. But next guy. Actually, you know what? I forgot again. I know. Hey, Dad, write it down. Bob Stoops, 26th, Oklahoma, 99-16, 190 and 48, 2000 national championship. Big 12 titles in 2000, 02, 04, 06, 07, 08, 2010, 12, and 15, 16.
Look, I would maybe even put him. I would put him. What number is he?
26.
I would put him even further because, look, this was in Nick Saban's era. This was in when recruiting became what recruiting is. And Oklahoma, before he came, was unbalanced. You know, they wanted the old days of Barry Switzer, this and that, and he provided it. And he was knocking on the door. He had, towards the end of his career, he didn't have the seasons and the energy in the program that he did at the beginning. That was mainly on the defensive side. He's put numerous NFL people in the league. And what I actually love about Bob Stoops is I think he walked away at the right time. Instead of it getting so bad that it was like it was kind of not really it wasn't public, right? It didn't happen like Mark Richt. It didn't happen like, hey, we got to go get Kirby Smart because he's been at Alabama and he might get hired somewhere else. He goes, I'm going to give it to Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln Riley said he taught me everything. And look at Oklahoma. Hasn't missed a beat. Has not missed a beat. It might be even better especially if Nick Saban retires or they figure out the defensive side of the ball. So I really like Bob Stoops.
Next guy right in a row here, 25th. Jimmy Johnson, now NFL Hall of Famer as well. Oklahoma State 79-83, Miami 84-88, 81, 34, and 3, 87 national champ.
Look, two things on Jimmy Johnson. Excelled at both levels and changed culture and landscape of football. I mean, they have a 30 for 30 about his team. All I got to say. And I love that he's getting in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys.
21st, Mac Brown, App State 83, Tulane 85-87, UNC 88-97, Texas 98-13, and UNC once again 19 to present 259, 132, and 1. 05 national champ with Texas, two-time Big 12 conference champ with 05 and 09 for the Horns.
Look, the dude is still killing it. UNC is getting recruits, and when has Texas been relevant? Before 98 and after. That's all I have to say. The guy knows what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't have 5 national championships. Dude could coach. And not dragging it on, the number one thing that he possesses is people skills. Like, the way he treats janitors is the way that he treats people that make millions of dollars. The dude just cares about people. That makes him successful.
7 top 10 finishes in 9 years at Texas. And he's having fun now at UNC.
What I like to say is I have numerous friends that are head football coaches in North Carolina, and they were losing people to Clemson and South Carolina and Georgia. They're staying in state, and every coach loves them. A coach that might go 0-12 in high school football, he still will talk to them like they have a recruit on their roster. All 8 to 20 people that I know, 8 head coaches, 20 assistants, all have the same thing to say about Mac Brown in North Carolina. I love it.
And they have the 2022 number 1 overall pick on their team right now. So number 20, Chris Peterson, Boise State 06-13, Washington 14-19, 147 and 38. WAC titles 06, 08 to 2010, Mountain West title 2012, and then 2-time Pac-12 champ 16 and 18.
Couple things to say. I like this spot, even though I've said stuff about playoffs, but he's been in the playoffs. And Statue of Liberty.
06.
Versus Oklahoma, baby.
06, 13-0 with Boise State. They won 38 games with 3 top 10 finishes between 09 and 2011. And then he brought Washington to the college football playoff once as well. Number 19, Lou Holtz. William and Mary 69-71, NC State 72-75, Arkansas 77-83, Minnesota 84-85, Notre Dame 86-96, and then South Carolina 99-04, 249, 132, and 7. 88 national champ with Notre Dame, 1970 Southern Conference title with William and Mary, 73 ACC title with NC State, and then a 79 Southwest Conference title with Arkansas.
We all know the championship. We all know the years at Notre Dame. I will tell you, everybody, this. He paved the way for Steve Spurrier to have this much success at South Carolina that he had. And that is not talked about enough.
Next is Woody Hayes, 16th. Denison, 46-48 in Ohio. Miami, Ohio, 49-50. And of course, Ohio State, 51-78. 238, 72, and 10. 3-time national champ, 54, 57, 68. 47 OAC conference champ, 1950 MAC conference champ, and then Big Ten champ in 54, 55, 57, 61, 68, 69, 70, 72 through 77.
Legendary.
Yeah. 8 top 10s, 6 Rose Bowls in 9 years. Lost 1 or 0 games 12 times.
The only thing you can say about him is the way that his career ended was pretty awful. And I think that's why you're the generations, and I'm not talking about coaches. I think coaches will always understand and look at coaching history. The players 10 years from now may never, they'll be like, who is that? Unless they walk on Ohio State's campus. And if you don't know the ending of his career, you should probably just look it up. I'm not going to take the time to tell you, but it wasn't the best ending by any means.
Yeah, 4 guys straight in a row here. Next is another OSU coach, Jim Tressel, Youngstown State 86-2000, Ohio State 01-10, 241, 79, and 2. What is that? 3, 4, 5-time national champ. 4 with Youngstown State, 91, 93, 94, 97, and 1 with Ohio State in 02.
You would have had more with Ohio State. You wouldn't even heard about the next 2 coaches. If stuff, especially with the name, images, and likeness, right? I mean, I know that's years away, but he would have been the coach at Ohio State for years and years and years.
Yeah, 8 top 10s at Ohio State, shares of 7 conference titles, and he won their first national title in 34 years. He's actually now the president at Youngstown State.
Yep.
Like I said, 4 in a row here. So Pete Carroll, USC 01-09, 97-19, 2-time national champ, 03-04, and Pac-10 champ, 02-08.
What number again? I know we're going 4 in a row.
14.
Here's what I'll say. If you're going to put people like Mike Leach and Patterson, because they changed university to another conference and changed the landscape of the offense, this guy's got to be in the top 10, because the things he did at USC was unheralded. He brought Snoop Dogg in on recruiting visits. I mean, he used everything about LA and Southern California to get kids, and then they spanked people. I mean, Texas was such an underdog. That's what is so amazing about Vince Young's performance. And I believe it was the Rose Bowl in their backyard. I mean, They were celebrities. He put people in the league, and then he was really successful in NFL. And if you've never looked at Pete Carroll, he must have some really good like plastic surgeon or Botox people. He looks like he never ages. Besides, his hair continues to get whiter. But the dude looks as young as he did in Southern California. So I was never a USC fan, but the guy changed the landscape of recruiting and Heisman Trophy winners.
7 straight top 4 finishes.
I'm telling you, he's just, how is he not? I hate it. There's a lot of coaches that are really good, but in my opinion, he's top 10. Top 10.
Well, next guy, Steve Spurrier, Duke, 87 to 89, Florida, 90 to 01, and South Carolina, 05 to 15, 228, 89 and 2, 96 national champ with the Gators, 89 ACC champ with Duke, 91, 93, 94, 95, 96, and 2000 SEC champ with Florida. 10 top 10 finishes, and Florida's first 6 SEC titles in 11 years.
I don't agree with this number at all for 2 reasons. He is the reason I fell in love with college football, even though I can't. I'm a diehard Bulldog fan. But Danny Warfel in his Heisman Trophy winning season, I mean, in Missouri, we had Norm Stewart on the basketball side. That's probably why I love basketball and coach basketball. Our football team was, but we played Florida a couple times, and I fell in love with, man, this guy's dropping back in the pocket. He's throwing deep spirals. I was a wideout, cornerback, running back, middle school, high school, and I didn't follow the Gators, but seeing Danny Warfel and Spurrier in his post-game news conferences and stuff, I fell in love with college football, not with the Gators.
Yeah,
and he's a phenomenal coach, and he's top 10 in my book.
Yeah, he won Duke's only conference title in 6 decades, and also led South Carolina to its only 3 top 10 finishes ever. So,
top 10, him and Pete Carroll.
One guy that I forgot, it's actually going to be like 5 in a row, 6 in a row, because this guy, I didn't think about it, but he is so important to the landscape of college football. Eddie Robinson, Grambling, 41 to 97, 57 seasons, 408, 165, and 15. National championship, HBCU national championships, 55, 67, 72, 74 75, 77, 80, 83, 92. SWAC conference titles, 60, 65 to 68, 71 to 75, 77 to 80, 83, 85, 89, and 94.
Some people put him, if you really ask people in the South, he wanted to stay there. He loved HBCU. Some people put him as the greatest college football coach. You ask Bobby Bowden where he is in his echelon, and he's like in his Mount Rushmore. That's all I can say. And deservedly so.
Yeah. First unbeaten season, age 23.
I know. It's as long as he did it. People need to stop with this. He did it at this level. He did it at that level. He decided to stay there in that community and put a school on the map. He would have knocked the socks off of people at Division I if he ever took a job at Division I.
Won national titles in 5 different decades. Next guy, legendary as well. I thought he should have been higher, but there was a whole issue there. Joe Paterno, Penn State, 66 to 2011, 409, 136, and 3. 2-time national champ, 82, 86. 3-time Big 10 champ, 94, 05, and 08.
You already
finishes in 5 different decades.
You already know my thinking on Joe Paul, and it is positive because you don't coach that many decades without without building relationships. If you don't have relationships with your players, you're not going to be around. The one thing that I'm going to say about this that a lot of people might not know, do you understand who put offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators in upstairs boxes to see down on the field? Because he's coaching at the level, right? And he's got to bring someone over and he's got to talk to him. He was the one that said, I need a coordinator, when it becomes 60,000 people looking down and seeing everything on a different landscape. And I've actually argued that it's never going to happen in basketball because we don't have press boxes. But I always told somebody, if I ever became a college coach and they let me really do what I want, because at high school you have different rules, I'm putting an assistant coach up in the stands that can look down. You see things differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he nearly won 5 other national championships as well.
Linebacker University, that's all I got.
I know 2 of them were close. Number 9, Barry Switzer, Oklahoma, 73-88, 157, 29, and 4. 3-time national champ, 74, 75, 85. And then Big 8 titles in 73-80 and 84-87.
Wishbone, he created that. He won 3 national championships, but there's no but. I don't know. I would put Joe Pa before him. I would put Pete Carroll before him. That was when he won in Oklahoma. Everybody wanted to come to Oklahoma. He inherited a great program, somewhat of a great – he had a transfer in there that changed his landscape. But if you talk about the last 50 years, people talk about Joe Pa, Tom Osborne, Jimmy Johnson, Steve Spurrier. How many times is he really brought up, in my opinion? People remember him for the Cowboys. They really do.
Yeah.
And maybe I should pay attention to the success that because he did have 3 national championships in that span is really quick, real fast. But that goes back to, I don't know that he really built everything. He might have got handed the keys to a really nice Cadillac.
Yeah, 33-3 from 85 to 87. Over half of his seasons ended in an AP top 3 finish.
Can't argue with that. I'd put him in my top 15, but outside my top 10.
Number 8, Mr. Kansas State, Bill Snyder, KSU, 89-05, and again 09 to 2018. 215, 117, and 1 2-time conference champ 03 and 2012.
Outside my top 10, number 12. What I love about it is he was going up, and I will say this: if you've never been to Manhattan, it's actually one of the greatest college towns. But they don't have the money that Oklahoma State, and Texas had playing football, which makes his career remarkable. That it was so sustained, and even he came back and he was successful.
Yeah.
But he still, in my opinion, didn't change the game of football the way Steve Spurrier did or Pete Carroll did. And maybe these writers of this, I want to punch these guys. How do you put Snyder in front of Steve Spurrier? It makes entirely no sense. Yes, he means so much to Kansas State, but he's not on the map the same way that Pete Carroll and Steve Spurrier was. Who wrote someone give me the editor's name of this article, please.
Number 7, Dabo Sweeney, Clemson, 09 to present, 140 and 33, 2-time national champ, 2016 and 18, and conference ACC titles in 11 and 15 through 20.
What do you want me to say? He changed the whole landscape. He had an athletic director that believed in him and actually kept – it's almost like a Coach K story. Coach K in his first 3 to 5 years at Duke didn't have the success that he had, but the AD said, no, I believe in you and what you're doing. Well, we all know Clemson was good, but they couldn't get over the hump, but they kept with them, and now they're really over the hump, and people got to catch them.
Yeah, last 6 seasons, 79-7 record for Clemson.
And they're still going to be good this year. That quarterback's good, y'all.
Rolling on, top 5. Urban Meyer, Bowling Green, 01-02, Utah, 03-04, Florida, 05-2010, and Ohio State, 2012-18, 187-32, 3-time national champ, 06 and 08 with Florida, 14 with Ohio State. Conference titles in the Mountain West, 03-04 with Utah, SEC 06 and 08 with Florida, and Big Ten 2017 and 18 with Ohio State, 22-2 with Utah as well.
Great coach. Top 10, but not top 5. The way that he left every place was, I'm not going to cuss because we're live streaming, starts with an S and ends with a T. Every time he left, it was just a crapshoot. But he can coach and he can recruit. But it was fast. It was quick. When he went to Florida, he had I don't know anyone that's stepped in a better quarterback situation. His first championship was not the pastor as the number 1 quarterback, Tim Tebow, which I love Tim Tebow. A lot of people don't remember who the quarterback was. Go look it up. He had a twin brother. They were pretty phenomenal as well. But I think he totally built Utah from the ground up. He really did inherit a really good Florida team. He reloaded in recruits. And the minute that he did not, I really do believe that he used this. I don't want to take all of our time up. He said, health reasons, I'm going to go watch my daughters play volleyball, was his exact press conference words. But the minute Tim Tebow left and Hernandez and all those, Percy Harvin, he didn't reload, and he was in the SEC, and he looked around and the cupboard was bare, and he said, bye. And one season later, he was at Ohio State. And we all know Ohio State had everything in the cupboard because it was Ohio State, and Jim Tressel had gotten in trouble with some players' jerseys and whatnot. Definitely not deserving of number 5 at all.
Yeah, lost just 5 conference games in 7 years at Ohio State. I didn't put him on my list, but I know you mentioned him earlier. Number 4 is Tom Osborne. Nebraska, 73-97, 255, 49-3, 3-time national champ, 94, 95, 97. Big 8 titles in 75, 78, 81 through 84, 88, 91 through 95, and a Big 12 title in 97.
Look, he became an AD just like Barry Alvarez at Nebraska and had that move to the Big Ten that's helped them. And people say recruiting's harder now. I do think recruiting's harder now because you have to have more gadgets and technology. But it was harder to coach back then because Notre Dame was better. Miami was better. Oklahoma was better. People didn't go and rush to one team to win the championship. Does that make sense? And so he put Nebraska on the map, and they were knocking on the door every year.
Number 3, Bobby Bowden. Samford, 59-62. West Virginia, 70-75. And, of course, Florida State, 76-09, 377, 129-4. 2-time national champ, 93 and 99 with the Noles. And then ACC titles, 92-2000, 02-03, and 05.
All right. Repeat his win-loss record again.
377, 129, and 4.
Go. Y'all. How many Heisman? I don't think it's on there, but he may be first or second on the most Heisman. And you said 92-2000?
He won conference titles.
And he smacked Miami every year, and he smacked Florida, you better tell me who these next two coaches are.
Dabo Sweeney is the only coach that has a shot at his 14 straight top 5 finishes and also had 26 top 15 finishes as well.
And maybe at the end someone said that there was an academic thing or an ineligibility. The dude did it cleanly. The guy, if no one knows this, when Marshall's airplane crashed during their football season, he led the charge to get freshmen eligible, and he actually offered Marshall people that weren't playing regularly for their team in that community. Just unheard of icon in football, in my opinion, college football.
Well, the top two are, of course, Alabama guys. Bear Bryant, number 2.
Last 50 years.
Bear Bryant, number 2. Maryland, 45. Kentucky, 46-53. Texas A&M, 54-57. And Alabama, 58-82. 323, 85, and 17. 5-time national champs, 61, 64, 65, 78, and 79. 56 Southwest Conference title. SEC titles in 50, 61, 64 through 66, 71 through 75, 77 through 79, and 81. Nearly won national titles at Kentucky and A&M, apparently. I have no idea.
He was really good at A&M, came to Alabama, and jumped off the page. I'm going to say it right now. I wish this was on national news. I wish First Take would pick this up. He's number 3. Bobby Bowden's number 2. Nick Saban is clearly number 1. He claimed championships when he shouldn't claim them. We all know the color barrier. It was totally a different ball game, and he didn't allow the color barrier on his team until he was beat by a West Coast team who had already broke the color barrier. I'm not getting in. It's not fair for me, I guess, the way that I look, but it's 100% true. We know what the racial makeup was. And so you have to take a back seat when you claim national championships and you didn't allow someone to be on your team until they beat you. Does that make sense? I shouldn't be the leader in this. I don't think that's fair. You already know my work with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and my certificates and backgrounds and knowledge. And I know he's a great football coach, and I know that everybody praises the ground that he worshiped on, but times are changing. Times have changed. And Nick Saban is clearly the best, hands down, the best college football coach we've ever seen. Anybody from Alabama want to argue with me about that? I will meet you outside. I don't care if you're 80 years old. I will give you my address. Nick Saban is better than Bear Bryant.
Yeah, and Bear Bryant ripped off 7 top 5s in 8 seasons. Obviously, Nick Saban, number 1, Toledo in 90, Michigan State 95-99, LSU 2000 to 04, and Alabama 07 to present. 256, 65, and 1. What is he? 4, 5, 6, 7? 7-time national champ. 03 with LSU, and with Alabama 09, 11, 12, 15, 17, and 2020. Won the 90 MAC title in his only season at Toledo, and SEC titles in 01, 03 with LSU, Alabama 09, 2012, 14 through 16, 18, and 2020.
He's been successful at every stop. People can argue the Dolphins, right? Like, is that really a good judgment? He was there for 2 years. We knew at that time when he took over, the administration sucked with the Dolphins at that time. They were going through a lot. But he won at LSU. He's won at Michigan State. He's won at Toledo. if he would have stayed at LSU, we still would have been talking about Nick Saban being the best coach. I think he would have passed Bear Bryant. Then it wouldn't have been like, well, he had the backing of Alabama and they wanted a resurrection. It would have been like, well, Alabama can't match Nick Saban right now.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have heard Les Miles wouldn't have had a championship. Like Kirby Smart may have came along faster. Does all this like he's fired coaches because he's beat them, and I don't think there's any slowing him down. He just signed an extension. He looks great. He loves what he does. He still gets recruits.
Yeah, 6 national titles at Alabama with 8 total appearances. And then he also has 7 SEC titles, 13 straight top 10 finishes. And of course, they make the case about Bowden's 14 top 5 finish, straight top 5s. But 6 rings makes up for it.
Look, he's going to win another title. And when I say he's going to win another one, it's at least one more, but it's not going to be this year. Mark my words.
Not with Bryce Young, no.
But he will win another title before he retires, which will set him apart on that campus.
Okay, an hour and 20. That was pretty solid for that list. So let's get into the rest of the show.
Hey, I didn't have the rankings. I didn't make them.
Never have brought it up. I should have kept it to myself.
You should have just did one every, 100, 90, 80.
But all those guys most of them were guys that I've watched. So I had to.
It was respectable to talk about all of them. I didn't think we talked about them all that much. I do really want to talk about this trade, though. I hands down think this is a phenomenal trade.
Yes, the Steelers, literally, the news broke as they were warming up in Philadelphia last night. The Steelers, they traded with the Jags, getting linebacker Joe Schobert. I did get the comp for this. It is a 6th round pick in next year's draft.
A 6th round pick?
I didn't see, however, if the Jags
you guys got a steal in this, in my opinion.
I think the Jags would have had to retain salary. I think that had to have been it. I believe he was due $7.3 million, and the Steelers no way have that much cap space, especially while they're trying to work out a contract extension for TJ Watt. So, but yeah. I was excited about this. Schobert's been kind of under the radar since he went to Jacksonville, but he was fantastic when he was in Cleveland a couple of years ago. And we'll have to see. He'll be fighting Robert Spillane for that other inside linebacker spot.
Well, I mean, here's what I wrote down is they got him specifically for coverage. Yeah. If you guys can get Bush, I mean, he should be back healthy. He had an injury, but he's great. And over the last 14 years, 2 consecutive seasons, he's had over the last 14 years. There's only a couple people that have had 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles consecutive seasons. And a couple of them are Hall of Famers. We're talking about Brian Dawkins. We're talking about Ray Lewis, Charles Woodson, and Julius Peppers, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. So I think this fits perfectly in your scheme. That doesn't mean that – I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer. I'm saying for 2 seasons in a row, he's put up some numbers like these people. And so I think it fits exactly what you guys need. You guys are good on the run, but you need people in middle coverage.
Yeah, and I think he will also. Well, see, that's the thing. Devin Bush was that guy, and I was just very surprised that he played last night. I wasn't sure that he would be back by this game and that he would play at all this preseason, but he did, and he barely played, but he did get on the field and run. So, but I think he will also help in the blitz packages because I think Devin Bush is a lot better in coverage. And I think Joe Schobert will help in that inside linebacker blitz. Like
I would flip. I think Bush is better in run coverage, 100%.
I don't know.
I think that they traded for that to help in coverage. But I think they could complement them. Like, whatever you're doing, I think they're both going to be good at, and I think they're going to push each other as well.
We shall see. Okay, NFL news. Let's roll. The NFL sent a memo saying unlimited amount of players can return from the IR in 2021, and it will only require 3 weeks this year of being on the IR instead of 8. That's going to be a lot. There's going to be a boatload of players that are just, it's essentially going to turn into the MLB's 10-day IL.
Right.
Just short-term IR. That's essentially what it's going to be. So it's going to be a little bit messy when it comes to fantasy football because of how many players are going to be put on IR with only being out, having to be out 3 weeks. So make sure you check player statuses. Jags head coach Urban Meyer said it's an open competition between Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew for the starting quarterback job. I had to put it on there. It is funny. It's the funniest thing I heard all week. There's no way Gardner Minshew's under center week 1. I swear. If that stash walks into the huddle, Jags fans are gonna leave. They're gonna empty the stadium if Trevor Lawrence doesn't run out in the huddle in the first play. Staying in the AFC South. Extensions. Colts giving out extensions for GM Chris Ballard and head coach Frank Reich. Those are together through the 2026 season, building something wonderful in Indianapolis right now. Just need to get a quarterback and they'll be all right. They believe they have one now, but he and their all-pro guard Quentin Nelson both could return in week 1 from their broken foot, their bone issues with their feet, which is fantastic to hear as an Eagles fan. Yes, please play, Carson, as much as you can.
Do you really think that he's under center in week 1?
I do. Well, because
do you think that they roll him out as like a debut, or do you think they take it slowly to make sure they have him for the long haul?
Well, obviously, you always want to go with the option that will allow you to play the most amount of time. So that's why he did surgery right away. But, I mean, they play the Seattle Seahawks week 1. But I don't think it's that big of an issue that they play the Seahawks because it's in Indianapolis. So I don't think having a second-year guy like Jacob Eason or a rookie and Sam Ehlinger would be a bad thing with a home crowd and a great running game with Jonathan Taylor. And a defense that can keep the score low.
That's going to be the fun thing. Like, who looks better, right? Taking the snaps. Eason.
Yeah. And I didn't do that, actually. That was supposed to. Guess I should have put that up higher. But yeah.
I think that's going to be fun.
You're right on it there. Colts rookie quarterback Sam Ehlinger got some of the first team reps this week. And so Jacob Eason's going to start on Sunday.
I'm watching. I'm tuning into this game. Not to interrupt you, but I'm tuning into this game.
But they will split reps with the first team. So
I'm telling you right now,
It's the only game on Sunday. So
Eason has an arm. The thing with his arm is, can he control the line of scrimmage? Can he look downfield? Can he check down? The kid can throw it, but can you command an NFL line?
I liked Sam Ellinger out of Texas. He's my kind of guy. Tough.
I loved him when we were last year in the NCAAs. You already know what I was saying. And then Texas fell off the map. I was like, they're going to win because of him. But anyways.
So the Michael Thomas situation in New Orleans, apparently there's been rumors of him getting traded. It's apparently not very good, but they really can't. They can't afford to trade him. $8.9 million in 2021 and $22.7 million in dead cap charges if they would trade him. So 30
anything less than a first round.
Yeah, and I've been wrong before though. About trade compensation. Michael Thomas, too injury prone the last 2 years. I don't care what he did in 2019 when he broke the single season receptions record. That doesn't matter. He didn't barely play last year. He's starting off missing the first quarter of the season this year.
Well, and I would bring this up too to add on to that, and I agree with you 100%, is the Saints have had people walk into that facility and stadium and resurrect their careers, whether it's Ted Ginn and Joe Horn. He was with multiple teams, but has his best years. And so the offense and Drew Brees, and so you have someone that's injury prone, big cap hit. As a GM, I'm not so sure that I jump on Thomas the way I did 2 years ago, if that makes sense. And so I think they can't trade him. And that's what, I'm agreeing with you. I don't know. You can't get that compensation back.
I think the only way you do get a first round pick back is, or actually, no, that would lessen the value. Never mind. What am I saying? Yeah, with the amount, because I think whatever team that if he would get traded, they would give the Saints money with a draft pick, lessening the value of the draft pick. So, just like I said with the Julio trade, I wouldn't have traded a first round pick for Julio. And they didn't. The Titans didn't trade a first round pick, luckily for them. So, next, also with the Saints, more bad news. Corner Patrick Robinson retired this week. They're starting slot corner. Eagles fans remember he was the savior starting the route against the Vikings in the 2017 NFC Championship game. The pick six of Case Keenum after Chris Long hit his arm. I watched that after, someone posted it after they announced he retired, and I was like, oh my God, one of the best plays I've ever watched.
Sets them back even more.
Yeah, and it's like Chris and I and you and I have been saying, dude, the Saints are touted as this like big, successful team. But look what happened. Drew Brees is gone. They have a new quarterback. Michael Thomas hurt again. Deontay Harris, another wide receiver, has legal issues and is also an all-pro kick returner, punt returner. I
actually think that they finished fourth.
Robinson's gone. They had to re-sign Quan Alexander because they lack linebacker depth. They lost some other guys. Trey Hendrickson in free agency. Sheldon Rankins in free agency. Janoris Jenkins is gone.
If you look back, you and I've never seen anyone take over the reins of a organization the way that Matt Rule has. and he's done phenomenal. And you still have Matt Ryan at quarterback, and we all know after the coaching change that the Falcons were no scrubs last year. And Julio Jones is a big part of that, but he never scored in the red zone. I think that this plays out, and Sean Payton's a good coach, but I think he gets even more publicity. I always compare him and Tomlin in the same boat, and he gets more media time. And Tomlin has the same record, same Super Bowl as he does, 1-1. And I think Tomlin does even more than what the Saints do. I see them battling for third, fourth.
Yeah, I think this next few years, 2 to 3 seasons, will really, define Sean Payton's career.
I mean, he's a phenomenal coach. I'm not taking anything away from him.
But the thing is, he had a Hall of Famer his entire career with the Saints at quarterback. And they still only won 1 Super Bowl.
Well, Brady stopped a lot of people from he's like the Michael Jordan.
But that's the thing. They only appeared in 2.
That's
Brady
true.
did the entire other conference the entire time he's been in New Orleans, except for the last 2 seasons, which they've gotten destroyed by the Buccaneers every time they played them.
And I'm not even going off injuries. I mean, retirements and injuries. I just think that we know the Falcons have been terrible, but they haven't been so terrible that they got blown out. It was always like a high-scoring game, and they lost. Like, what if they figure it out? Or we get a new coach, we get a tight end. Like, I think the Buccaneers are right here. Does that make sense? And I think the dominoes can fall wherever after them.
It's partly Mickey Loomis's fault. It really is. He's consistently putting the Saints in a terrible cap situation year after year with Drew Brees' contract specifically. It's the same thing that is happening to the Pittsburgh Steelers right now with Big Ben's contract. And
you have to get creative.
The thing that's different about the Steelers is that Mickey Loomis has also traded away key draft capital,
future assets,
for players that haven't worked out.
Yep.
Now, he has drafted very well, but your draft picks can only go so far. You only have so many players so many picks every year. So it's like your free agents need to work out, but they don't have any money to sign anyone. So then you're down to undrafted free agents and cheap vets. It's like you're not going to find many star guys in those. It's unlikely that you will find a lot of stars in the vet minimum salary market and the undrafted free agent pool. So anyways, end Saints rant on Mickey Loomis. Steelers, speaking of Steelers, corner Joe Hayden is seeking an extension. He wants to finish his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Interesting.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I like it. He has been everything that the Steelers thought he was when they signed him from the Browns in free agency a couple of years ago. And I just thought it was interesting because, he wants to finish his career in Pittsburgh, but, I always thought he would retire as a Brown.
Right.
Well, if he wants to retire in the better organization, that's fine. It comes down to money again, though. I don't know where they find money to extend him with, like I said, TJ Watt. TJ Watt is holding out, for anyone that doesn't know that situation right now. TJ Watt isn't practicing. He's at practice because he has to be there or else he'll get fined $50,000 per day. So he's showing up to the facility every day, not putting pads on, not practicing, so he doesn't get fined. And he's not playing. Obviously, week 1, he will play, I assume. But he wants a contract extension. He deserves a contract extension. He should be the reigning defensive player of the year. That freaking bull crap with Aaron Donald this year. Yeah, it's an absolute God. That whole situation was stupid. But yeah, I think Joe Hayden deserves it. I'm not sure just the financials will work out in his favor. Unless he doesn't, it depends what he wants. If he wants, like he said, an extension to stay in Pittsburgh, then the Steelers can be like, okay, well, this is what our price is. This is how much money we can offer you. Take it or leave it. Like, the man's in his 30s already. I'm not sure how many other teams would want his services. Also wanting a contract extension to finish his career out is Bears defensive tackle Akeem Hicks. He would like to finish his career in Chicago. Different situation. He's a little bit younger than Joe Hayden is, a couple years anyways. So I think he would probably get one more likely to get one than Joe Hayden is, because I think Akeem Hicks is more a key part of the defense than Joe Hayden is, even though Joe Hayden, like I said, has been very good for the Steelers. But yeah, Chicago doesn't have as bad of a cap situation.
He surprised me every time. Steelers games, like he looked better than he did in Cleveland, and I'm with you there. Like, you got to give someone younger more money.
Well, the thing is, their corner draft picks haven't worked out very well, anyways.
For a long time.
Well, Joe Hayden, he made the play of probably any of the Steelers games that I've ever been to. He was the man that intercepted Tom Brady to beat the Patriots at Heinz Field a couple of seasons ago, 2018, I believe it was. The best game ever. Just the jubilation that I felt with my friend when we were at the game.
Second best game ever. I mean, when the Rams win a Super Bowl in a small market, it's got to be the best.
I'm talking about games I've witnessed.
I'm teasing you. You know that.
NFL, anyways. Georgia Notre Dame, obviously the best one I've ever seen.
That was a pretty cool atmosphere. It was.
All right, Bengals not expected to reach an agreement, a contract extension with safety Jesse Bates. Free agency next year. One of the most underrated defensive players overall in the NFL. Will more than likely 99.9% chance he gets franchised by Cincinnati next year. We already went over Sam Ellinger. Darius Geis back in the news today. Not good, though.
We talked about that before the show.
Suspended for the first 6 games of the 2021 NFL season. Now, I brought up the question, do you think he gets picked up now, though? Because his charges were dropped for this stems from his 2020 aggravated assault case, or I don't know if it's aggravated assault or sexual assault. I don't remember. I think it was aggravated.
I don't remember that either.
But yeah, 6 games for that. Free agent still. He really didn't do much with Washington when he was there as a second-round pick at LSU, but had a lot of off-field red flags.
He was highly touted, we've heard that before. Does that make sense? I would go on a limb to say that, Hunt resurrected his career with the Browns. So I wouldn't say that no one would touch him. Does that make sense? But he's not as talented.
Yeah.
So it's a very small margin, but you never know. Like, the NFL is so different. Like, it's a shorter season than 162 games or 82. And you have a practice squad that's different than these other leagues. So I'm not going to rule out that you don't ever see him again.
I agree. I think someone will take a chance on him. It's one of those things, again, where it's the draft pedigree, second-round pick. So you see all the time where first round picks are discarded and they get jobs somewhere else. They keep getting chances. Like I said, has a lot of red flags, had a lot of red flags coming out of LSU.
Yeah, major.
So New England. New England practice squad.
I actually think he would be successful though in New England. Does that mean like I think he could catch it? I think he could catch it out,
Again, where though? There's not any spots. I didn't even think there's a spot for Ramondre Stevenson, but he just went 127 yards in a play.
Okay. What about Seattle?
Sure.
That would be my number one team that I think, man, you've been trying to get good handoffs. And my thing in Seattle is you don't need to have like, hey, I'm going to come out and just hand you the ball. It can be play action. It can be a fake. It could be out to the wide. It could be a curl. I think he fits in that system.
If Pittsburgh wasn't so committed to Najee Harris as a 3-down back, that would be a punishing 1-2 punch.
I mean, you got to think about Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's kind of a joke because of people that Urban has coached. That was more of a joke. But they really do. I mean, when you're rebuilding, anybody that makes you better is always an option.
Okay, guys coming off some of these lists, preseason lists here. So the Dolphins, they activated tight end Mike Gesicki off of the COVID list. The Bears activated safety Eddie Jackson off of the NFI list, non-football injury or illness in some cases. Bills activated defensive end Jerry Hughes off the NFI list. Bengals defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi, he passed his physical. He is off the PUP list. Also off the PUP list, big one, Cowboys wide receiver Amari Cooper.
That's huge.
Players not playing preseason week 1. A lot of quarterbacks. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, obviously ACL. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, most likely not playing.
On week 1 of the regular season.
Jordan Love to get the majority of the reps. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Chargers, bunch of guys here. Quarterback Justin Herbert, running back Austin Eckler, wide receiver Keenan Allen, and safety Derwin James.
All week 1 regular season.
Preseason week 1.
Oh, wait. You didn't. Oh, what?
One guy that will play next week in
preseason
week 2 is Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. He will play.
I was getting at. It's only preseason. We're talking about practice.
Obviously, now with only 3 preseason games, Steelers being 4, Cowboys being 4 with the Hall of Fame. Week 2 now becomes the dress rehearsal like week 3 used to be.
Right.
Texans going to be hurting tomorrow night in their preseason game. Placed on the COVID list, corner Bradley Roby and starting offensive tackles Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard. I haven't heard if Deshaun's going to play or not. I would think he wouldn't. I guess Tyrod would start then, but Davis Mills to start. Davis Mills.
we could very well see Tyrod starting week 1 too.
Davis Mills should play the majority of that game anyways. Against who they play? Oh God, the Packers in Lambeau. Ravens first round wide receiver Rashad Bateman. He will have groin surgery or core muscle surgery. He's going to be out until sometime in September, John Harbaugh said. Now, core muscle surgery usually takes 8 weeks, but being in September, that's about 6. So Ravens hurting at the wide receiver position right now because Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, and Deion Kane also all dealing with injuries as well. Eagles defensive end Ryan Kerrigan, he had surgery on his broken finger. So he is out 7 to 10 days. Also with the Eagles, offensive tackle Andre Dillard, he has a knee sprain. Safety Kayvon Wallace, he has a groin strain. Both of those guys are week to week. Essentially, that gives Jordan Mailata the starting left tackle job for Philadelphia, which from
You like that. You like that.
Well, the Eagles' main beat reporter, Jeff McClain, he had said, Mailata had looked better anyways. So Chiefs offensive lineman Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, the doc, he broke a bone in his hand. He is out 4 to 6 weeks. Still has a chance for week 1, they said. Jets. I know Chris was probably crying when he heard this. Rookie wide receiver Elijah Moore, he injured his quad. He's going to have an MRI to look at that.
Let's hope it's not anything that's lengthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some reports sounded like it might be the whole season. Some reports it was like you need to have a rehab. And like you said, he's a Jets fan. I thought they had a good draft. That could ruin the first year project, right?
Yeah, people were glowing about Elijah Moore in camp so far. Also, another rookie injury here. Vikings rookie offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw. He underwent minor course of muscle surgery, so not the whole thing. Hopes to return week 1. Needed on the offensive line there for Kirk Cousins. And last injury here, Seahawks tight end Colby Parkinson. He is out an extended period of time. He has a broken foot. What's new? Seattle has a tight end with broken foot. I couldn't hold myself off of it, Greg Olson. I couldn't, Greg. I couldn't hold myself from saying it.
I mean, is that Seattle or is that Carolina or is it both now? Love you, Greg, but there was always a foot injury.
I would be interested to see what number Colby Parkinson wore.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's terrible.
The Niners, they signed safety Haha Clinton Dix and defensive lineman Eddie Vanderdoes. To make room for those guys, they released all-star wide receiver Kevin White. And they placed safety Tony Jefferson on IR.
What did I say? I said 3-4 weeks ago, Clinton Dixon was going to get signed if it wasn't because it's funny because of his name.
Yeah. Eddie Vanderdoes, not a bad depth defensive lineman either. The Seahawks, this is where I was talking about Darius, guys, because I was kind of holding myself off of saying it, but they released defensive lineman Alden Smith. There weren't any details that came with that, which I was surprised.
I tried to.
Alden Smith, there is.
I'm sure you tried to read the same stuff that I read. What I read was I tried to read into the whole thing. We all know his past. And the last thing that I read was it hadn't fully gone, whatever he did in Seattle. Because he actually, like when he went to Seattle, he was living in a halfway house. And then he got his own place again. And he violated some term or some restriction. And there doesn't have to be like the probation officer, whatever, how it talks is there's not gonna, like, it doesn't have to go to trial, but if he violates this, he automatically is in trouble. And I kind of got that. Does that make a gist that the Seahawks were like, we're not going to wait how this one plays out? Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
wholeheartedly.
didn't even realize that he had to live in a halfway house in Seattle last year. Like for 6 months, he had to be in a halfway house. And the legal this is where the legal system, if people don't know, you're going to become a lawyer. 2 seconds. You do something major, you have to go live in a halfway house to make sure you don't do it again, whether that's drinking and driving, drug addiction, whatever. I didn't realize he was living in a halfway house in Seattle last season for
I think
6 months.
know that. I think I did know that.
And halfway houses are really good. Does that make sense? Like I think they can be good.
Yeah, I didn't mention HBO, his former team, the Cowboys, because my parents' DirecTV account was getting messed up with the HBO, so I wasn't able to watch the first episode of Hard Knocks. Waiting till I get my cable set up to watch it. So
It's
don't
probably something you did.
Don't spoil it, anyone.
It's your fault. Your parents are angels.
Last thing on NFL news, also with the Niners, they hosted linebacker Michael Kendricks for a visit. He's getting a second chance after his determination from his insider was finally resolved. So, okay.
Months ago.
ACC preview. All right, conference champ Clemson. Yep. Okay, next.
UNC. I'm kidding. Sorry. Only wish.
I put them in their divisions. Kind of. I didn't have enough room to split them evenly, so just kind of like draw a line. Actually, I can draw a line. I can do that. We have that capability here. These are the divisions right here. There you go. That's the division. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Clemson UNC in the ACC title game, and I think that will set up a great matchup.
I think you're right on the money. I mean, there might be a one upset here or there, but we know the coaches. We've already talked about the top coaches in the last 50 years. Both of them land in that category. You and I both would agree that one has a way better defense than the other. Mm-hmm. Right or wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that UNC actually has one of the best cornerbacks.
The only issue with UNC is that we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that offense is remade after losing so much. De'Ami Brown gone, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter gone in the backfield. I can't remember if they lost any O-linemen or not, but
their defense might be a strong suit compared to their offense with that many losses. But I don't think Mac Brown has ever had an issue on that side of the ball. He's had more of a, how can I stop you? You know, I can score 48 points to your 43 or 45, but they got to stop somebody.
Yeah. So I have it as in the, what is Clemson? Coastal?
Yeah.
I have it Clemson. I have Florida State there, but I actually think Boston College is going to finish second. I love Phil Dracovic and what they're doing up there. He's one of my favorite under-the-radar quarterbacks. See, that's the thing. A lot of these, because it's not a conference that I am familiar with, obviously Big Ten, SEC, but I go to the quarterbacks right away because that's the easiest thing to follow. So Phil Dracovic with BC, Mackenzie Milton with Florida State. We'll have to see how they turn out because that's one of the biggest things. If Mackenzie Milton is playing and he is 100% back from the brutal knee injury from 3 years ago, I mean, they could contend. Mackenzie Milton had UCF in the driver's seat.
I'm picking back in. We already know Clemson is just a hierarchy. I really do I don't understand why NC State can't get over the hump because they put NFL people in, talent and this and that. And I picked them early and I didn't pick them and they won games. I think it's Clemson and I think it's BC and NC State battling.
It's a different season, and Mark is still shitting on NC State.
Well, I just said that they're battling, in my opinion, for a second spot. I think they can. I think that it's Clemson, and then you have BC, Florida State, and NC State. I think Louisville has to come back from some things that have happened administration-wise and firing coaches. We already know Carrier Dome's hard to play in Syracuse, and Wake Forest has graduated way too many people. They had some tough years, but I think they're going to be kind of drawn back to the back of the pack, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the dark horse that I would say is Louisville. Scott Satterfield is very good. Is a very good coach.
No, and I agree. I think we already know who the clear cut, and I'm just saying BC and NC State has a shot to go too. But the one wild card, I'd agree with you. There's no reason why Louisville couldn't be number 2 in this on this side of the division. Does that make sense? I don't think they have any talent enough to beat Clemson.
Yeah. Atlantic wise, obviously we said UNC. Miami is clear cut second or first. I mean, I know some people like Miami above UNC. Derek King is back. The ACL thing scares me, but
I love that you drew a line. And I would love to say Tar Heels are running away with this division. I actually think this division's tough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at it, could Virginia Tech be good enough to win? Maybe. We already know. I'm taking other teams we might not think about. UNC and Miami, I think, are the front runners to, win enough ball games. But I look at this division that there might be 2 losses on every. Like Pitt is a well-coached team. That doesn't mean they have a bunch of talent. Georgia Tech, man, I'm telling you guys, their coach is a really good coach. He doesn't have enough talent there to compete with Georgia. He doesn't have enough talent to compete with Clemson. But on this side of the division, he could steal a lot of wins. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, they have a young quarterback there. I don't recall his name.
UNC just comes down and says, yeah, you're not Clemson, and they knock you in the mouth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Virginia Tech, both every single year are just, they're right at 6-6 or a little bit better, 7-5, 8-4, and they're right there. I mean, Virginia Tech won this division a couple of seasons ago.
And we were supposed to play them in Atlanta starting COVID year. That was a funny thing. That's how good Virginia had made their program, if that makes sense.
And Pitt's interesting because, once again, I'm going back to the quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett returns.
Dude.
Kenny Pickett is not a bad quarterback at all.
Sam Howell from UNC, they were talking about the best quarterbacks. And this is what I love about kind of the ACC is it's kind of more a brotherhood. Does that make sense? Like we want ACC to be on the map where SEC is, no, I'm better than you and I'm better than you and blah, 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 and blah, blah. He was like, you have to forget that Pittsburgh returns a quarterback that almost leads in. He's a top 3 in every completion, yards, snaps. Like Pittsburgh's going to be no joke.
The thing that really kills Pitt, though, defense, they lost a ton on the defensive line. 3 defensive linemen to the NFL this year. So they'll have to replace those guys. The only team we didn't talk about is Duke because they're in the basement and will be.
I mean, Cutcliffe is a good coach. He's coached both Manning brothers, Daniel Jones. He's been at Tennessee, for more than just the Manning brothers. He's a good coach, but you just can't compete when your entrance exams are what they so-called are. You can drop rates for students, but basketball is going to get the easier entrance exams even for the football team. And you don't have the facilities that UNC has. Definitely Miami, definitely Virginia Tech. You're not playing in name, image, and likeness. Let's go back to that. I think Georgia Tech could start getting, even though it's an engineering and it's very elite scholars, you could start selling yourself as we're in Atlanta. We have agents that work with the Hawks and the Braves and the Falcons. Come play football for Georgia Tech, right? Like that's always going to have a distinct feature over Duke, and you're in the basement if you're Duke.
Yeah. I also thought about the recruiting, where geographically the ACC schools are so close together. And I mean, just in their own state, they have two teams.
Every state almost.
In North Carolina and NC State. Yeah. Tobacco Road. And then you go over to Kentucky and you got Louisville. You go down to South Carolina, you got Clemson. Where's Wake Forest at?
I'm going to tell you this, and people are
North Carolina too, right?
Wake Forest, North Carolina. You've got 4 teams in North Carolina, and Clemson is only they compete for the same demographics, like the same recruits in Charlotte and Greensboro.
And you go north, you got Virginia Tech.
I know. I'm telling you right now, and people may not want to hear this. We know that Coach K is leaving Duke, and Duke has a national prominence. But of all these teams, besides Boston College, Duke is in the most trouble with name, image, and likeness. And people are going to go, what are you talking about? All these other teams will bump their stock up football-wise. They're either going to have to drop their football team to a different level, or you're going to see Duke become not a powerhouse. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So bowl teams, how many? I'm thinking 9 for sure. I think they might get 10. The 9 I have are Clemson, Boston College, NC State, Wake Forest, UNC, Miami, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Pitt. And then the 10th one I think is, Florida State, Louisville, Florida State, Louisville.
I switch out Wake Forest, I think.
Okay.
My sleeper this year will be Georgia Tech.
Yeah. All right. American Athletic Conference. No divisions.
I actually love this conference.
Yeah, they switched it. No divisions this year. I don't know why they switched that.
But I kind of like that. Have you thought about it? Like, let's play football. Yeah. Why is there a division? Let's go 1 through 9, 10.
Memphis and Tulsa also switched their logos. Memphis going to
they did back
non-orange tiger.
Yeah. They went Tulsa, back in school time though. I think that was back retro.
Yeah, and Tulsa is also, I believe,
bland. Is it bland or is it me? Is it bland?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really understand the flag thing anyways. That they
Well, why can't you have, they're the Hurricanes, right?
Yeah, golden Hurricanes.
Why couldn't you have I I just think okay, whatever. I'm not a marketing major. Whatever. Could you have like the T with the tornado around it, or the state of Oklahoma because it's Tornado Alley? Like, can you not get creative? Anyways, that's not what we're talking about. So move on.
Yeah. So conference champ Cincinnati, I think not easily. I don't want to say easily, but I think that Cincinnati is by far the best team.
Front runner.
You know, they have a Heisman Trophy contender at quarterback in Desmond Ridder. Their defense is still very stout, even with the loss of their defensive coordinator this year. He went to Notre Dame to be their DC. I can't recall what his name is, but one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. Not sure what UCF is, but they're UCF, so it's and Memphis is kind of the same thing. Memphis still has. Do they still have Brady White? I believe they do for a 6th year.
They don't have the same coaches, which we know that. I love a lot of. I like this conference because I've been able. I shouldn't say got. I've been able to experience tailgating. Does that make sense? I've been to Annapolis. I've lived in Eastern North Carolina. ECU I've never seen a concentration that doesn't understand football the way SEC does, but loves their football team the same way. And people are going to go, did you just take a dig at ECU? No, I'm saying that you love football, but the tailgating, you think like the tailgating is like the best in the world. You got to come, and their fans don't necessarily travel the way that we do. You got to come down to SEC and understand it. I would pluck 4 teams. I would pluck 4 teams if I was the Big 12. I would pluck 4 teams if I'm the Pac-12, which is now called when I was growing up, it was the Pac-12. I would pluck teams if I was the Big East. And if we're going to go to this Power 5 conference where we go down to 3, 2, 4, go ahead. I would pluck teams from this.
Yeah, and really the way I set this one up was just my general knowledge of who has been good at recently. So that's why Houston I have as 4th. Tulane is always surprising. Every single year they get somebody.
They're a home draw.
They get someone every year.
It's like a high-scoring, high offense.
SMU, they would have been above Houston and Tulane, but the loss of Shane Buechele at quarterback, not sure who they replaced him with. Tulsa, I actually do like Tulsa. I think they could surprise some people. I believe they returned their quarterback this year, who had a fantastic game, upsetting UCF in Orlando last year. Crazy game. Just absolutely, everyone got just shell-shocked in Orlando that night. I remember that because I came back from the Georgia game and turned it on, and like Tulsa was leading. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, and then ECU, Navy, Temple, and USF, they all 4 have not been much.
Oh, wherever. I think ECU.
Sorry, Mark, Navy.
ECU will be a little bit better. You know, they had their 1AA coach from James Madison who took his team to a title. But Cincinnati is the front runner. I agree with you 100%.
What are your boys at Navy doing, Mark?
I think that, okay, so I'd go Cincinnati, and I actually think that after Cincinnati, I think UCF, Memphis, or Houston could all finish second. Does that make sense? Depending on injuries and whatnot, I think Houston could even finish second.
Oh, I did
Uh,
forget about Clayton Tune is at Houston. That's true.
I would move Houston up, Memphis, and UCF coaches and administration have both kind of left. So maybe Houston becomes second. We know what Navy's going to do. That's the only thing I can say about Navy. We're going to run, we're going to run, we're going to run, and we're going to run. That's about it. But it's like Novocaine. Navy will never finish last, even though it's like a high school playing college, because we're tough. We're going to work on what we work on, and we're going to hit you in the mouth repeatedly, and you're going to get knocked out.
And beat Army.
Navy goes before ECU. That's all I'm going to say.
I can see that. Yeah. Just how far, watching Temple fall after Matt Rule. Yeah,
It's phenomenal. He's been really successful. I thought he would be great.
So bowl teams, realistically, I could see that first 7. Cincinnati, UCF, Memphis, Houston, Tulane, SMU, Tulsa.
We all know bowl games can be 500
or below. 5 and 7. They said this year, because there's 82 bowls this year, a record number of bowl games. So they might have to put some 5 and 7 teams in.
7 minimum.
I think 7 max.
Yeah, I mean that's what you just said.
I don't think ECU, Navy, Temple, or USF are making a bowl.
I don't know though. If you're, I think Navy. Well, no, I mean I know who they lost. No, I think how could you give one extra team to the AAC? It's got to be 7 and under. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I'm with you there, 100%. I'm backing you.
All righty. So I guess before we get to that screen, we'll stay on this here, and we'll just quick go down the preseason lineup for week 1 tonight, and tomorrow. Actually, games have already kicked off for tonight's slate since it is 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm on Central Time.
Watch it.
6:14. I'm at 6:15 Central. But yes, tonight, right now, 2 games going on. Titans at Falcons. Falcons 1-point favorite. Over under is 38. I shouldn't even have put the betting lines for these preseason games. It doesn't really make sense. I think the Titans win. And storylines for that game is Kyle Pitts and Julio. I'm not sure if Julio's playing though. Come on, Mark. Where's that mute button?
I thought I hit it. There we go.
So yeah, Kyle Pitts, Julio. Those are really my 2 things from that Titans Falcons game.
We got to see it. Let's see the Rolls Royce on the field.
Yeah, that one's going on right now. The other one going on that Mark is watching on NFL Network. Bills at Lions. The Lions favored by 1. Over under is 37.
I'm intrigued to see I'm intrigued to see the backup quarterback for the Bills.
Once again, I think the Bills will win.
It's Trubisky.
I just don't understand why the playoff teams are not the favorite, even in preseason. I think the Bills have better backups than the Lions have. I think the Titans' backups are better than the Falcons' backups.
So do you think Fromm makes the Bills roster?
We'll see what he does tonight.
Third string or he's out?
Isn't he the third right now anyways?
He's third right now. He's on the sideline.
Well, he'll play in the 4th quarter. Well, Allen's not playing, is he? Oh, maybe he'll play in the 3rd quarter then. Because they have to have 4 quarterbacks most likely. But yeah, interested to see Jared Goff if he's playing.
100%. I'm about to switch. Yep. Well, that's why. Sorry, not to switch it. That's why I went to this one. Let's see. I don't think he gets any. He gets what? A series, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
They just started.
The nightcap tonight out west. 0-1 Cowboys at the Cardinals. Cardinals 1.5-point favorites there. Over under 39. Bills. Just scoring updates. Bills kicked a 50-yard field goal. Tyler Bass. Bills up 3-0.
That was a nice kick.
3-0 in Detroit. 10 p.m. NFL Network for that Cowboys Cardinals game. Dak not playing. Not sure if any of the first string offenses.
Before we leave, do you believe the second opinion MRI is really that big?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that I didn't like is how they announced it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was really curious, maybe is a good word, or
I don't know. I mean, it's another long year. If
you're America's team, why are you putting it out like that? Are you prolonging fans from? Do you already know that this is terrible, or are you prolonging teams to think that we're gonna play a different quarterback and he's fine? Maybe I'm reading into it too much. I didn't like how it was announced.
Yeah. And the thing is, no Dak means no Zeke, because Zeke has proven
you're going to stop the line. You're going to stop the line
without Dak. So
there was a stat that I'm not going to, because you have to be in integrity when we talk, but it was it was almost 2-yard difference when Dak is in the game compared to when he's not in the game.
Yep. For the Cardinals, though, we'll have to see if J.J. Watt plays. But other than that, looking at one of their rookies, Rondale Moore, interested to see him for the first time in a Cardinals uniform at wide receiver. Not sure who his quarterback will be. I would believe Kyler Murray will play for a little bit anyways. And then it is Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is the new backup in Arizona this year. So
good backup, decent backup.
Tomorrow's game, the massive slate tomorrow. Starting off, they actually have, I think it's a quadruple header on NFL Network tomorrow. Yes, it is. Dolphins at Bears. Bears favored by 3.5. Over under is 36, 1 p.m. on NFL Network. Dolphins, we'll have to see if Tua plays. I love Tua this year. I'm all in on Miami, man. Will Fuller, let's see if he plays as well, because I believe he can.
When it's
not a regular season game, so he can play.
He's healthy, he's a good receiver.
And not sure who else I'm looking for on the Dolphins.
I'll go opposite of you. I haven't been a big Dolphins believer, so prove me wrong, please.
I will.
I love their defense. I just don't like their offense.
The Bears looking for Mr. Fields. See how him and Red Rifle play.
Did you hear the news out of the scrimmage?
No.
I heard Justin Fields look phenomenal.
Well, they're saying that about another guy, too, that we'll talk about in a sec.
But I also heard Andy Dalton had really good success with some deep balls. So if both quarterbacks are having some success, maybe the defense is not doing very good.
If the Red Rifle gets back to rifling, what will become of Chicago? Broncos favored by 2.5. They're actually one of the few road teams, one of three, just 3 road teams are favored this week.
In preseason?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are they at?
Yeah, they're favored by 2.5 in Minnesota against the Vikings.
Wow.
Over under low one, 35, 4 o'clock NFL Network. Now, Broncos
Look,
can go into the quarterbacks.
I don't touch preseason.
I have thought about it. I just haven't hit submit.
Don't do it. You don't know who.
I would have won them, though. I would have won them.
As a good coach, you're trying to see your whole team. You're not playing everybody. Come on.
That's why I play. That's why I play preseason fantasy, daily fantasy, because I know roster, so I know who's going to play how much. That's why I won 50 cents the other night off a 10-cent entry. But yeah, Broncos were again looking at the quarterback position. Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock. See how that battle plays out. Also interested to see how Javonte Williams looks in his first action. Rookie running back out of North Carolina. Von Miller, I'm not sure if he's going to play or not, but coming back this year from an injury from last season. And as far as the Vikings, we'll get to see Kellen Mond for the first time. And I'm not sure who else I'm looking at on the Vikings.
Well, the Vikings' success depends on one person. I don't care who you think it is. I know who it is. And he's got to be healthy in the backfield.
Yeah. We would be looking at Christian Darrisaw, but obviously we said he's not knocked out for a couple weeks with that core muscle surgery. Next game is the Browns at the Jags. Jags favored by 2.5 at home. Over under 37, 7 o'clock NFL Network. Trevor Lawrence, primetime nationwide. So, does Minshew or Lawrence start preseason game 1?
Minshew.
Bring in the mania back.
Because you know that Urban Meyer's a weird guy. He would do it on purpose, even if it was only for one series. And then, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't care really who does, because let's say you start the preseason. Does that mean that you're going to be the starter? That's never meant that you've been the starter. Does that make sense? If Minshew starts, I actually think Lawrence probably starts game 1. Do you agree or disagree?
I think he starts game 1 regardless.
Regardless of what happens. So I'm with you.
Doesn't matter.
But I really do believe that Minshew could be – I really think he could be a top – like the next Chase Daniels, who makes $30 million being the next backup quarterback as long as you don't get injured. I would love to have Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback. He's won games with a terrible team. Does that make sense? I don't really care about his numbers. He's won games with the Jaguars, man.
Well, no one thought he would even be on the Jags this point in the season. Everyone thought he would be traded by now. But whatever.
Who's a solidified quarterback that's going to play as long as he's not injured, besides Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady?
Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I can keep going.
Would you not want Gardner Minshew behind those guys? That's just my question. I don't know what it would take, but I think he would be a great backup to Russell Wilson. And I think that both of their personalities could coincide with each other. And if he doesn't have enough protection, or they need a week off, or Russell gets hit, I think Minshew fits perfectly in that offense.
I just think Minshew is too much like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but it's not sustained success. It's little spurts.
What a great backup.
Sure. Also with the Jags, we're looking at Trevor Lawrence's draft teammate, Travis Etienne. I would be interested to see how the Lawrence to Laviska Shenault connection looks as well. On the Browns side, Jadeveon Clowney, I'm not sure if he's playing or not, but would be interested to see how he plays. They also have a boatload of other defensive free agents. John Johnson coming over from your team. They got Troy Hill as well from the Rams. And they also got Anthony Walker from the Colts at linebacker. So, and then Greg Newsome, the rookie first round corner as well, out of Northwestern. Saints at Ravens. Ravens favored by 2.5. Over under 36, 7:00 Eastern there. Saints, Jameis or Taysom? Who's it gonna be?
You tell me.
Jameis. It's gonna be Jameis Winston.
I already know that. You know that. I do love though that someone can carve out an NFL career like Taysom. Does that mean like? I like that. That's cool, man.
Yeah. I think this game will be very telling for the Saints, though. We already talked about their struggles with depth. We'll see literally probably the 3 starting wide receivers play for a good portion of this game for the Saints because they don't have anyone else. The same thing goes for the defense. There are going to be a lot of contributors that will play on this defense this year that will be playing for at least a half, I would think, in this game. The Ravens, they're kind of the opposite. Now, they have all these receivers. They just haven't gotten a passing game going. But like I said, 4 of their receivers are hurt. So if Lamar does play, he's going to be throwing to scrubs. Sorry, guys. Ravens receivers, you're not, you're not the top guys. So if Lamar does play, though, I'd like to see if Sammy Watkins also plays, see how that connection has transformed in training camp. They have Ronnie Stanley coming back at left tackle, see how he works out. And also Alejandro Villanueva coming over from Pittsburgh at right tackle. Defensively, Odafe Owe will make his debut as a first-round pick. And not sure what else on defense. Not much of that defense changed, really just the pass rushers mainly, I think. Ravens also looking to win their 18th straight preseason game. They haven't lost a preseason game since 2016. Ridiculous. And that's what John Harbaugh prides it on. He makes sure they know that they do not want to be the team that breaks this streak. It's a fantastic streak that they have going in the preseason.
I guess it hasn't equated to a Super Bowl yet.
Yeah. Well, they got one. Way back.
Well,
Almost 10 years ago now.
More yet.
Almost 10 years ago now. Super Bowl 47.
Go out.
Next one is the Snoopy Bowl. Jets favored, technically at the Giants. Over under is 35. Now the Jets were that other team, one of the other 2 road teams that was favored. Technically the road team. Over under is 35. That one is 7:30 tomorrow. Jets looking at Zach Wilson. We won't be able to see Elijah Moore now, but obviously we'll see how Zach Wilson looks with Corey Davis and Jamison Crowder returning there. See how Robert Saleh's defense looks, what he's going to bring on the defensive schematics. Giants, we already said Daniel Jones isn't playing. Saquon probably not playing either, so they're going to start their backups. Don't recall who they signed as the backup quarterback now, because it was Colt McCoy, so I'm not sure who they have anymore.
Is this Daniel's last season to prove that he's the quarterback going forward?
Well, I watched a clip before the show. Dan Orlovsky on ESPN was calling it. They were asking about that, and Dan Orlovsky called out Saquon. He said, well, if this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones, it has to be a make or break for Saquon too.
Saquon, we've seen what he's able to do.
The thing is, this is what Orlovsky said. 2,000 yards from scrimmage in his rookie season, went down to 1,400 scrimmage yards his second year, injured the last 2 seasons, season and a half.
Okay, I can get behind that. I still think that he's as a former quarterback, he's got Jones's back. I actually have no problem with Daniel Jones. I think he's got huge hands. I think I've seen him hit, like you and I watched him against the Eagles last year, Giants-Eagles game. He lofted a perfect pass. They didn't catch it. And then he's running down the middle of the field and trips, right? Like it's kind of funny, but I think he has the tangibles if they get things around him.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think we'll be able to see Kenny Golladay, because if Daniel Jones isn't playing, that means most likely a lot of the first team offense won't play, which means Kenny Golladay not playing, Evan Ingram. We won't see Kyle Rudolph most likely. That's the majority of their free agents, we probably won't see.
I think this is
Kadarius Toney, we might though. I'm not sure.
That's just a big year altogether though for the Giants.
Yeah, I feel like
rookie, Saquon, are you going to keep Jones?
I feel like rookies, I mean, as far as my philosophy would go, rookies always have to play every preseason game.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm with you.
So, next one is Bengals at Bucks. Bucks, this is the biggest line of the week. Bucks favored by 6 in Tampa. No Joe Burrow for the Bengals. I have no clue who the backup is right now. But even though Burrow's not playing, I think they're one of the instances where their starters will play, even though Burrow won't play, because he's not playing because of coming back from an injury. So I don't think that deters the rest of the first team offense from not playing. Not much really looking forward to. Jamar Chase, looking to see him on offense. Trey Hendrickson, though, on defense. And see how their linebackers have grown. Akeem Davis-Gaither and I'm blanking on the other kid from Wyoming that they drafted last year. I don't know. Bucks, though, there's no way Brady's playing. When has he ever played preseason?
Why would you?
His rookie year. But yeah, that means it'll be Blaine Gabbert starting for the Bucks. We'll see a little bit of Ryan Griffin as well. And thing is, we can't even, I guess Joe Tryon, their first round pick. Oh, wait. We'll see Kyle Trask. Completely forgot about Kyle Trask.
I'm excited about that.
We'll see him. I don't know when we'll see him. Third quarter, maybe. It depends how long Gabbert goes. And then I don't think they'll put him in before Griffin, but I could be wrong. So they might, though. They might. Texans at Packers. Packers favored by 3 in Lambeau, over under 36, 8 o'clock. Texans.
We are not going to see Aaron Rodgers.
Who the hell knows who's playing at quarterback? We will see in some order Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, and Ryan Finley's not there. The other guy that they got, I don't remember who that was. And also, who the hell knows who's even playing for the Texans? They got 29 free agents this offseason. So I can't even just start listing guys that we're looking to see.
Here's my question. Do you really think Deshaun Watson takes a snap this year? Yes or no?
Not for the Houston Texans, no.
I like it. Move on.
Packers will see a lot of Jordan Love and Amari Rodgers as well. And A. Rodgers will be playing.
Chiefs, Niners, like a Super Bowl.
Niners. Yes. Super Bowl 54 rematch. Chiefs in Santa Clara. Niners favored by 1.5. Chiefs, I believe we'll see Chad Henne starting this one. And we'll see how their revamped O-line looks, really. I think that's the main storyline for the Chiefs. Niners, we get to see Trey Lance for the first time.
We've heard good things.
And I can't think of anything else with the Niners. So over under 39, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Seahawks at Raiders. Raiders favored by 2.5. Not sure if Russ is going to play. I can't think of storyline. We'll see Dwayne Eskridge for the Seahawks, their second-round pick. I really can't think of much else for the Seahawks. Who to look for?
Line, I'm with you there. Like, what's it going to look like? I don't care who's under center. You have to get the people up front that are going to protect Russell Wilson snaps. Does that make sense? And that was his argument all along. You better give me some help.
Yeah. Raiders wise, we'll see Derek Carr. See how their offense looks without Nelson Aguilar. Henry Ruggs probably taking over that deep threat there. Darren Waller.
Is there any chance the Raiders compete with the Chiefs this year and put the Chargers third?
They seem to get them once every year, though.
I know. We'll see.
We'll see how the revamped defense looks. Gus Bradley coming in as a DC there in Vegas. Over under 38, 9 p.m. for that one. Last game tomorrow, Chargers favored by 3.5. The Battle of LA in SoFi Stadium at the Rams. Over under 33, 10 p.m. NFL Network, the nightcap there.
St. Louis. I'm kidding.
Not going to see any of the Chargers starting offense. Derwin James also out. Not sure if that means Nick Bosa is out or Joey Bosa is out as well. Nick Bosa plays for the Niners. So
I just want to see more of Herbert. That's all I got to say. He looked so good last year. Is it the regular season so I can see if this was a fluke? I thought he looked like the next wave of quarterbacks.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to see first-round pick Rashawn Slater in that game. Rams-wise, Sean McVay already announced he's not playing starters. He doesn't do that. So we won't see Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, or anyone like that. So it will be John Wolford starting that one. And the Rams had, 3 freaking picks? How many did they have? I don't even know who they picked. I don't even know who to look for the Rams because none of the acquisitions are playing. So, and then the lone game
until 20, 50. I'm just kidding.
The lone game on Sunday, 1 p.m. NFL Network. Panthers at Colts. Colts favored by 1.5 in Indy. Over under is 35. Jacob Eason starting that one for the Colts. Obviously, like we said, Sam Ellinger will also get first team reps during that game. We'll look to see how Sam Darnold fares with his new team. Robbie Anderson, David Moore, Dan Arnold.
I think this is one of the games that people should pay attention to. You get to see Sam Darnold. Does he look better than he did in New York? you get to see Carson Wentz injury. So who steps up and performs for the Colts? I really think this is an intriguing game.
I agree. Hopefully, I will have cable by then.
I'm sure that I will be talking to you nonstop during this game.
Yes. But next Friday, preseason week 2, we will be recapping the Thursday night game between the Patriots and Eagles in Philadelphia. And we will also have the game previews for the entire slate, just like we did today. Also, our conference previews rolls on. We're doing 3, technically. Big Ten, FBS Independence, and the Mid-American Conference, the MAC. And those are all the independents: Army, New Mexico State, BYU, Notre Dame, UMass, Liberty, and UConn.
Welcome to Central Time Zone. Send me some New Claris beer, please. Give a hug to your mom and dad. They are great individuals.
Yes, that is all for the show today. Thank you, Mark. Sorry for the long show. I know Mark's got stuff to do. It was that thing. It was the thing in the beginning, the coaches thing. I should have never brought it up. But don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and FAApodcast.com. Check out all our shows there and here on YouTube. Also, sound is available on